My name is Peter, and this is Coordinate Challenge, where you decide my next destination in the Norwegian wilderness. I'll be going off trail and will have to rely on my own navigational skills in order to overcome natural obstacles and reach my target. On the way to these coordinates, I'll be filming myself to document my adventures. This very first episode of Coordinate Challenge, I'll be going to an area to the south of Gjøvik called Totenåsen. My target? An island near the shore of a strangely shaped lake. I will start off to the west of my target, where I'll be parking my car at a place called Gamle Torseter, and from there on I'll continue on foot. Once I set off, I'll encounter several obstacles, like streams, lakes, bogs, and steep and uneven terrain before I finally reach my target, after which I'll have to retrace my steps in order to get back to the starting point. In order to choose the best route, I'll be using a compass and a small segment of a topographic map of the area, showing some of the larger obstacles I will have to navigate past in order to reach my target.
My target this time is only 6 kilometers removed from the starting point, so I'll only be bringing a small day pack. In this day pack, I'll be taking some warm clothes, which I can wear when I'm resting so I don't cool down too much, some food to replenish my energy, some stuff to get a brew going, some stuff to build a rudimentary shelter in case I get caught out, and my storm cooker as well, so I could replenish my water supply. And seeing as this time I'll be going to an island, I'm bringing my sandals as well, which I could use for wading so I don't have to get my boots wet. I'll also be bringing my knife and fire steel so I can get a fire going, and I'll be wearing my Gore-Tex jacket, and I'll be taking my rain trousers so I can still keep on going when the weather turns bad. In order to make sure that I've arrived at the target, I'll be taking my GPS watch as well.
Alright, the car is parked, so now it's time to get moving. As you can see, the weather is not too sunny, but it's quite alright. So now I have to start moving in this direction to find my way to the target. I know I have to go directly east, so I decided to follow this small stream up the slope, which for now goes in an eastward direction. Going across these little streams, really have to watch out because it can get quite slippery on the rocks, as well as the soil that's gotten a lot soggier because of all the water getting into it. So then you might easily just sink in and get your boots very wet, which is not something you'd want to do, especially not at the start of your trip. It seems like I've run into some kind of old overgrown track. It's probably not for cars, but perhaps for tractors or something like that. I think it goes all the way down, but this one's still going east, and the river's over there to the right of me, so I'm still going in the right direction. I have to say, seeing as this is the first time I'm doing this, ooh, a bit slippery, I was quite nervous at the start, but I think that the most interesting things do happen when you go out of your comfort zone, and I'm fairly certain that after a while I get way more comfortable with doing this. Seeing as the tractor track over here seems to go more towards the northeast, I decided to veer off from it and go back into the forest. It seems now that it's getting slightly steeper now, but I can already see it evening out, so I might be very close to the top of this ridge. I have to say, between all the fallen trees and other forest debris, it's really interesting to just find a way up without just overexerting yourself or really making your roots a lot bigger than what it could have been. Like I said, it was just over 6 kilometers to the target, but if I just take all these kind of winding roads, it will end up being a lot longer. So I have to find the best path while I'm on the go. This is starting to look more like it. I have to watch out though, because these rocks are all loose. So I have to make sure that I stand on them. Before I do that, I have to make sure that they're not loose and that I'm stepping on solid rocks, so I don't slip and fall. It's one thing when you fall on just moss. When you're falling on rocks, then, especially when you're on a trip by yourself, you'll have to be extra careful because no one can help you. If you look here, you see we've climbed quite a bit already. This ridge is not going to be as high up as that ridge, but we'll surely get a nice view of the area. Look at this. It's a complete untouched stash of blueberries. Should be very nice as a hiking snack, especially as I'll be closing in on the top now. What I find here means that I have to really watch out, because these are moose droppings, and I don't want to run into a moose while unarmed, especially not so close to the hunting season. But when I'm here out in the open, I'll be able to spot them pretty soon. Alright, at the moment I've moved from Totenåsen to the east, and I'm now at this little peak here. And you can see that it's quite steep directly down, and there's going to be a river. If I look ahead, then there's another climb if I go down. So what will probably be the best option is to go around and just go around the river and then cross the other river, where you can see that there's a trail on the map. As you can see, I found a small stream on the map down in the area between the two hillsides. At the moment I'm crossing this stream over here, which is equal to this stream on the map, which means that if I go east I'll run into a trail that runs perpendicular to my path to the east. I have to watch out though, because as you can see there's not many trees over here, which means it's just very, very soggy. Look at this. I guess someone's rain trousers got eaten by a moose. As you can see, here's the trail running from the south to the north end. So that means I've got to go in that direction. Alright, I found a second trail. So that means I'm still going on track. That hilltop over there is one I can see here on the map, which means it's this one over there, which means to the north of it there should be a small lake, which would be a nice place to have lunch. Alright, I've managed to find a small pond, but I decided to keep on going just a bit longer so I could find a nice vantage point from where I could see the twin lakes, so that after lunch I know exactly in which direction I'll have to go. I found a nice place to have lunch at, and from here I can see some of the features I'm going to encounter on my way further east. Alright, for lunch I'm going to have some nice crackers, some tin mackerel,
some mushroom soup, and with the rest of the boiled water I've got, I'm going to make myself a nice brew. No hiking meal is complete without a nice brew. And some dessert, some Norwegian Kit Kat. You know what they say, when you have a break.
Seeing as it nearly took me 2 hours to get here, that means I've still got about 4 hours to go because I'm at 1/3 of the trip. So that means I'll arrive at the target somewhere around 4 o'clock. And that means that it's going to be dark pretty soon once I get to the target. The good thing is I've got my headlight which I can use to navigate in the dark, and I've already found some spots on the map where I could go. For example, there's a road running all the way back to Totenåsen which goes around, and in case of emergency I can go to that road, and I've always got my emergency shelter building equipment as well. On my way to the Twin Lakes I've encountered loads of swampy areas, so I can be quite certain that the area I mean to cross between the Twin Lakes is going to be very boggy as well, so I have to watch out, and if necessary I have to go around the southern lake in order to get further east. I ended up on this very steep hillock, as you can see all the way down, so I've got to find a different way down. But over there in that direction I can already see the southern Twin Lake, and like I said, because of the drought it's gotten a lot smaller than it is on the map, so that means it's probably going to be easier to navigate through the part between the two Twin Lakes. Alright, I've managed to find a way down that's not that steep, so I'll make my way to the east towards the Twin Lakes. I've got to watch out because underneath this moss, some of the rocks are loose, so that could make me fall quite badly, and then I'll be in a bit of trouble if I break something. Alright, I arrived at the area between the Twin Lakes, but I found out that there's a proper stream here, so that's going to be hard to get across without getting myself wet. But I've gotten a bit lucky and I found that there's a small bridge over there which I'm going to use. I've left the Twin Lakes behind me, so that means I've cleared the largest obstacle on my route. Took me 3 hours and I'm about halfway now, so that means I'm right on schedule to make it within the scheduled 6 hours, but I don't know exactly if I run into more bog on the way over, which could definitely delay my trip. Alright, I've got a great view of the surrounding area here, so I decided it was high time for a water break, because the only thing that's been hydrating these last few hours have been my feet because of all the bog. So bottoms up. View of a passenger airplane, I think it's Norwegian, that's flying over there, probably on his way to Gardermoen, which is probably over there to the south. I arrived at a large open area, which means this is probably just more bog, and as you can see, my feet, at least my shoes, are already completely drenched, and the socks within my shoes are absolutely drenched as well. And I can see a red cross over there, which probably means that there's a bit of a crossing there that's less wet. But for now I'm not sinking in too deep, so it's going to be alright. Alright, I seem to have run into a proper river, which means this is most likely the Floite. So that means I'm nearly 2/3 of the way towards the target. So now I've got to find the road where I will backtrack to if darkness overtakes me before getting to the target. Really makes me think of one of those water slides in those water parks. It makes me feel quite nostalgic. Alright, I've run a road that runs parallel to the Floite River, and it's nearly 1:30 now, so that means I've got about 2.5 hours before it starts to get dark. But now at least I know where to find this road, so I can always use this to safely backtrack if darkness overtakes me. Because this road, it takes a long way around, but it goes all the way to Totenåsen. From here on, I'll have to go in this direction to get to the target, which means I'm at 2/3 of the trip, because I've already done this, and I've only have to do this. I've run into another trail over here, which means it's most likely this one on the map here going to this cabin, which means after that there are going to be no more signs of civilization from the cabin to the route. So I've got to use this as one of my backtrack points, and hopefully they'll keep the lights on. This is some proper bog. It's completely sinking in. So, well, my socks are wet already, so it doesn't matter. Nothing better than a handful of nuts, like Michael Jackson probably would have said. He must be a fun guy to hang around with. I managed to find a lake, and I'm at the southern end of it, which means that that's the island that I've got to go to complete my first challenge. Alright, this seems to be the best place to cross over to the island, which is just this kind of natural bridge. And I'll still have to wait a small bit, but I won't be using my sandals because my feet are already very wet, so it doesn't really matter. So let's get going and finish this first challenge. After getting to the other side, I figured that might have been the other side of the lake, and my watch confirmed this. So that means that where I'm standing right now, in between the area I used to cross the natural bridge, is actually the island. So that means I've made my target. So it's time for a celebratory brew. If you look over here, it doesn't really seem like this is a natural island. It seems like someone just chucked loads of dirt here in this narrow side of the lake, so you'll have a bridge. And that could very well be the case, because there's a cabin over there and I can see an overturned boat, so maybe someone uses this island. Quite interesting, I think. I used my last bit of hot water to make myself a nice cuppa to properly celebrate. Cheers. Alright, time has come to say farewell to the first corner challenge. It's nearly 3 o'clock now, which means I've only got about an hour left before the sun goes down. And I'm quite low on water as well. So that means I've got to make the most of the hour of daylight that I've got left. So, time to get going. There's one thing that I've noticed in my time in this area, and that's that many passenger aircraft fly over here, which means it's probably a huge air corridor for aeroplanes flying north to places like Svalbard and I think most likely even Trondheim as well. Over in the distance you can see the edge of Totenåsen, which means that behind the hills there's Mjøsa, the biggest lake in Norway. And you can see that there's quite a lot more houses around that area. So, time for me to get back to the civilized world as well. When seeing these things when hiking, it just makes me really sad to see that some people just don't have any respect for nature at all, and they can't keep it clean. Alright, I've routed this field filled with cabins, so from here on is just a short while down to the road that runs parallel to Totenåsen. Makes me think that the rubbish has probably come from one of these cabins, which means that civilization has a direct impact on nature in this way. That if people don't see that they're polluting their surroundings, there's just no helping it. So people need to be more aware that they're not just polluting some place they don't use, but they're polluting the direct surroundings. I managed to get back to the road that runs alongside the Fløyta River, and it nearly took me an hour. So that means in an ideal world it'll take me 2 more hours to get back to Totenåsen. But this is not an ideal world, and in 15 minutes or so the sun's going to go down, which means that I'm going to arrive at Totenåsen a lot later, because I've got to watch out to not fall down steep cliffs or get stuck in bog, and the latter is notoriously difficult to spot when it's dark. But first I'm going to wring out my socks to make it a bit more comfortable to walk the rest of the journey. The result of a hard day's work. I fortunately made it to the River Vleuten before darkness falls, which is not an obstacle I want to tackle in darkness. So now it's time to keep on going and make sure that I meet my other goals before darkness falls, which could be any minute now. Got a lot darker now, so it won't be long before it's completely dark, so I've got to hurry up. It's gotten proper dark now, so I've got to watch out. At this pace it'll still be a few hours before I actually get back, so I have to be extra careful. It's always fascinating to be outside in the darkness and just gaze up at the stars and think that maybe one of these stars has a planet around it that is like our planet, which isn't too far-fetched, especially not with NASA finding running water on Mars. I managed to get back safely to Totenåsen, which marks the end of my very first coordinate challenge, with many more to come in the future. But for now, it's time to get some well-deserved rest.
Once I got back, I decided to do some research regarding the island and ended up looking at historical satellite imagery. I found out that the island has only appeared since several years back, and that it wasn't there more than 13 years ago. When it first appeared, however, and if it's a natural occurrence or actually man-made, is still a mystery to me. All that remains for me to say now is I'll be looking forward to your coordinate suggestions in the comments below and to subscribe to this channel. You can also follow me on Twitter, where I'll be posting sneak peek pictures of the adventures you'll be sending me on. Any tips or good advice is also more than welcome.